the mighty and resilient Merrimack River, carving through the communities of our great region. My name is Linda Lorden, proud president of Merrimack County Savings Bank, and like the river that serves as our namesake, we're a constant yet ever-changing presence. Because to us, it's bigger than banking. It's about powering communities and putting people first. It's about knowing where you came from and where you're going. That's Merrimack style. Visit us at themerrimack.com.
It's time to gather loved ones together for all the holidays' best spread. Lynn's has great prices on all your favorite Thanksgiving items, from delicious turkey with all the fixings to mashed potatoes and yummy pies. We have everything you need to create your perfect Thanksgiving dinner. Whether it's cooking the traditional meal, completely store-bought, or a combination of both, your best holiday meal starts here. Learn more and start shopping today at lynsgrocery.com. Lynn's, where delicious begins.
Hello everyone, welcome to this week's episode. I hope you've had a fantastic week. Coming up on this show, we've got chunking, we've got some more conversation phrases, a quiz, and a couple of tips on speaking in public. So without further ado, let's head over to Section 1. Section 1. British accent technique, chunking. Have you ever come across the concept of chunking before? It originated in the world of psychology and is a process to aid with learning and information retention. Essentially, it suggests that if you group information into more meaningful chunks, you'll be able to retain and recall more. Now, a great example of how we use this every day is remembering phone numbers. A long list of random numbers would be hard to remember, but place them into more familiar chunks, then that's not so bad. So, for example, 02014711843 is easier to recall as 0201 471 843. So in the next section, I'd like to show you how we can use the chunking concept to help with our English and our accent learning. Section 2. How chunking can help your British accent. In the previous section, I briefly explored the concept of chunking, and now I'm excited to delve a bit deeper into how this technique can significantly boost your journey in mastering British English. Learning English as a second language often involves grappling with individual words, which can sometimes feel like trying to memorize an endless list. However, by chunking words into phrases, you're not just learning isolated vocabulary, you're placing them within a context that makes them easier to remember. This approach allows you to seamlessly piece these chunks together when speaking, fostering smoother and more natural conversations. Consider idioms, for instance. Rather than tackling them as a series of unrelated words, learning them as cohesive units simplifies the process and makes them easier to incorporate into your speech. Moreover, chunking isn't just beneficial for expanding your vocabulary. It also plays a crucial role in refining your accent and speaking voice. By grouping words together, you'll find yourself speaking more fluidly, with sentences flowing naturally and rhythmically, just like a native speaker. As you progress through Course 1 of the British Accent Bundle and master the intricacies of the different RP British accent sounds, you'll undoubtedly be eager to apply these newfound skills in everyday conversations. That's where my chunking module in Course 2 of the British Accent Bundle comes in handy, aiming to expedite your learning process and bolster your confidence as a speaker. Within this module, I'm creating a collection of videos featuring commonly used phrases across various conversational scenarios and subjects. By observing how these phrases are formed, understanding how words blend together, and noting the impact on pronunciation, You'll gain valuable insights that will enhance your spoken English. With practice, you'll find yourself effortlessly repeating these phrases, with their pronunciation becoming second nature. In essence, chunking serves as a powerful tool in your British English accent training, paving the way for smoother, more confident communication. Section 3. Conversation phrases beginning with L. So in the last couple of sections, I talked about the concept of chunking and how it can help your speaking skills. Now, a good example of a chunk are the conversation phrases I've covered in previous episodes. So to continue with this series and to provide further training material for you to practice the chunking technique, this section will cover some conversation phrases beginning with the letter L. I've got 12 of these popular phrases, along with a sentence or two that shows the phrase in context. So try and learn to say the phrase as a chunk rather than as their individual words. So this will help your speech sound more fluent and natural. So let's crack on. Number 1, leave it at that. Leave it at that. So don't say leave it at that. It's leave it at that. So the phrase leave it at that means to stop talking or thinking about something at its current point and not discuss or consider it any further. It implies that the discussion or thought on that topic has reached a natural end or resolution. So we might hear it in sentences such as, leave it at that for now, we can continue this discussion later. I don't want to argue about it anymore, so let's just leave it at that. We disagree on this issue, so I think it's best if we leave it at that. Number 2, leave it to me. Leave it to me. Leave it to me. Notice the to becomes t. Leave it to me. You can say this to let someone know they don't have to do something because you'll do it. So a few example sentences could be, leave it to me. I'll take care of making all the arrangements for the party. Don't worry about picking up the kids after school. Just leave it to me to handle the pick-up and drop-off. I'll make sure to submit the report to the client by the deadline, so you can leave it to me. Number 3, leave you to it. Leave you to it. Leave ya to it. Leave you to it. So the you becomes a bit contracted, ya. Leave you to it. So the phrase leave you to it means to allow someone to continue or complete a task without interfering or assisting further. It implies trusting that the person has the situation in hand and can manage or handle it by themselves from this point onwards. Using this phrase means stepping back and giving the other person space to work independently without additional input or involvement. So here's some examples of sentences using the phrase, leave you to it. Leave you to it then. Let me know if you need any help. You seem to have everything under control, so I'll just leave you to it. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll leave you to it now. Number 4, let me guess. Let me guess. Let me guess. The phrase let me guess is used before making a conjecture or prediction about a situation, a person's mood, or reason for something based on visual or contextual cues. It introduces the speaker's attempt to discern or deduce something without being directly told. The phrase communicates the speaker thinks they can accurately take a good guess at whatever is being referred to in the specific context. So here's a couple of examples. Let me guess, you forgot to do your homework again. You look upset. Let me guess, you had a fight with your partner? Number 5. Let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. Put it. Let me put it this way. So that T almost becomes a D sound when you say it quickly. Put it. The phrase, let me put it this way, is used before rephrasing or explaining something in a different context to make it easier to understand. It introduces an alternate way of expressing an idea or perspective that is simple, clear, or more tactful than what was previously said. The phrase conveys the speaker wants to clarify or elaborate on their point by presenting it in another fashion. You can say this before telling someone what you really think, especially if you're saying it as politely or gently as you can. So here's a couple of example sentences with let me put it this way. Let me put it this way, your current approach is not going to work. What you suggested is a bad idea. Let me put it this way, there are much better options available. Number 6, let me tell you. Let me tell you. The phrase, let me tell you, is used before providing a story, a detail. You can use this phrase to emphasize that you really mean what you're saying. So here's some example sentences with let me tell you in them. Let me tell you, that was the worst movie I've seen all year. I know it seems like a good plan, but let me tell you, it's bound to fail. You have no idea how difficult this project was. Let me tell you. Number 7. Let's face it. Let's face it. The phrase, let's face it, is used before stating an unfortunate truth or reality that may be hard to accept. It introduces an acknowledgement of actual facts or likely outcomes rather than wishful thinking. The phrase conveys the need to be pragmatic and honest about a difficult situation rather than idealistic. It encourages confronting harsh realities and having an open conversation about it. So here's some examples. Let's face it, there was no way the project could have been finished on time. We were in over our heads from the start. Let's face it, we bit off more than we could chew. The entire plan was doomed from the beginning. Let's face it. Let's give it a miss. The phrase, let's give it a miss, means to avoid or abstain from doing something such as an activity or event that one thinks will not be worthwhile or enjoyable. It suggests passing up or declining the option in favour of an alternative. The phrasing aims to dismiss the notion or proposal diplomatically rather than directly refusing. So here's some example sentences using the let's give it a miss phrase. Let's give it a miss tonight. I'm feeling too tired. That restaurant got terrible reviews. Let's give it a miss and try somewhere else. I really don't feel like going out. Let's give it a miss. Number 9. Let's go. Now, there are 2 different usages of this expression. One, when used to suggest leaving. Let's go means it's time for the group to depart from their current location or activity. Or 2, it's when used to suggest starting. Let's go means it's time to begin the planned activity or task. It expresses eagerness and enthusiasm to commence whatever let's go is prompting people to do. Both usages encourage moving forward, either to leave one place and go to another, or to start the intended action. So here's some example sentences with let's go meaning different things. Suggesting to leave. Let's go, the movie is about to start. I'm getting bored. Let's go find something else to do. The party's over. Let's go. And to suggest to start something. Let's go. It's time to start packing for our trip. We've wasted enough time already. Let's go and get to work. I think we're all ready. Let's go. Number 10. Let's just say. Let's just say. The phrase, let's just say, is used before deliberately withholding or glossing over specific details. It introduces vagueness to avoid directly stating something embarrassing, incriminating, or that might cause trouble if revealed. The phrase implies whatever follows is a diplomatic understatement of the actual situation. It encourages the listener to interpret between the lines rather than taking the words literally. So here's a few examples. Let's just say I had better days at the office. Things didn't go exactly as planned. Let's just say it was a bit of a disaster. It's probably best I don't go into details. Let's just say live and learn. Number 11, long time no see. Now, the phrase long time no see is an informal greeting used when meeting someone after a long period of not seeing them. The expression light-heartedly references the gap in time and serves as an icebreaker to reconnect. It aims to convey friendliness rather than accusation about falling out of touch. So here's a couple of examples where you might hear long time no see. Long time no see, how have you been? We have so much to catch up on. It feels like forever since we last spoke. Long time no see. Number 12, look who's talking. The phrase look who's talking is used as a retort when someone accuses or criticises another person for something the criticiser is also guilty of. It's said sarcastically to defend against a hypocritical criticism by highlighting the critic's own flaws or failures in the same area. It aims to shut down insincere or undeserved criticism. So here's a few example sentences. Look who's talking. Weren't you the one who was late 3 times last week? You're criticising my time management skills. Look who's talking. Pot calling the kettle black. Don't act so superior. Look who's talking. So keep an ear out for how the words in each phrase are linked so that they smoothly roll off the tongue. Section 4. I hope you're able to practice your RP British accent with the last selection of conversation phrases. Were you able to commit their pronunciation and meaning to memory? And would you be able to identify a situation where each of these phrases could be heard in conversation? Well, I've got a quiz to test if you can. So I'll put the link to the quiz in the show notes, but I'll give you the first couple of questions now. Question 1. You run into your old university friend who you haven't seen in 10 years. What might you say to greet them? A. Let me tell you. B. Long time no see. Or C. Like it or not. A. Let me tell you. B. Long time no see. Or C. Like it or not. If you said B. Long time no see, you'd be correct. Question 2. Your friend tells you that you shouldn't buy an expensive new phone because you don't have the money right now. However, they recently bought a very expensive car that put them into debt. What might you say to point out their hypocrisy? A. Look who's talking. B. Let me guess. C. Like hell. A. Look who's talking. B. Let me guess. C. Like hell. C would be tempting, but it's A. Look who's talking. Question 3. You tell your co-worker that you will organise the office party so they don't have to worry about it. What might you say to indicate you'll take care of everything? Is it A. Leave everything to me. B. Let's give it a miss. Or C. Let me be the judge of that. A. Leave everything to me. B. Let's give it a miss. C. Let me be the judge of that. Did you say A. Leave everything to me? You'd be correct. Section 5. A couple of tips for public meeting speaking. If you're learning English as a second language, I hope you take a little bit of comfort from this section. A little while back, I took part in a local government housing strategy meeting on Teams. Now, I hadn't intended to speak at the meeting, but as the slides progressed and the speaker trotted through all the policy aims and objectives, my level of frustration rose and rose. The presentation was to show how the council wanted to encourage new-built houses and existing housing to be more eco-friendly, sustainable and well-designed. To be honest, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They were asking for everything that my planning application contained. But my application was sitting in some planning officer's drawer somewhere, being totally ignored. So I had to join the discussion and express my frustration. Now, the problem with talking in public when you're angry is that it's really hard to come across as articulate and rational. It's all too easy to become tongue-tied and shrill. You lose your conversational thread, you sound flustered, and you wonder if you will be taken seriously. Now, I think I'm a fairly confident speaker, but generally only with a script. As a voiceover artist, it's easy to modulate your tone and speech to fit with changing moods and rhythms of a pre-written script. To emulate that with off-the-cuff speaking is a real skill. So, my recommendation as an infrequent public speaker is A. Note-taking. I would have been completely lost without the notes I'd made during the presentation. Key points jotted down kept my speech this side of coherent. I also noted down how it made me feel and how I imagined they may feel. Words like hot air or cold shoulder created a more expressive dimension to the argument. B. Breathing and slowing down the speech. Allowing yourself to slow down your pace not only gives you more time to formulate ideas, but it lets your words hang in the air, giving them more impact. Slowing down also lets you breathe. Breath control also helps your words come out with intention and purpose, rather than sounding frail and weak. And number 3, smile. If you want to sound more consensual, try and smile. People will, and they do hear it in your voice. Well, it'd be interesting to see if my little speech had any long-term influence. I very much doubt it, but watch this space. And if you're doing any public speaking this weekend, best of luck. Remember, note-taking, breathing and smiling. That's it for this episode. I hope you can join me next week. In the meantime, have a wonderful weekend and do join the British Accent Bundle at learningbritishaccent.com if you want further help and training with your British English speaking voice. That's it for now. See you next week.